Hey, what's up, guys? It's Mad Games GX here, and we are joined by a very special guest. Who do we have with us today?
Hey, this is Fernando.
Yeah, so Fernando, you recently just did something incredible. You went first place at your 7 round regional with branded Dracotail. Tell me, what's your first thoughts after coming home with the big dub with branded?
It was really hard playing some of the games with the new time rules, everything, but the list felt great. I love the Branded, is my favorite deck of all time, and Dracotail gives the power to break every board. It was great.
So, what made you run the 45 cards over something like a 60 card branded Dracotail list?
Well, I tested both version and even with the 50 card, but when testing the 60 card, like I was basically watching every video there is with the branded and stuff, and I saw a lot of 60 card builds, and I tried it a lot, but it felt too inconsistent, too bricky. So that's why on the last minute, like literally last week, I was still playing the 60 card. I decided, no, I'm going to cut all the duplicates, everything that makes me brick and just thinking consistency and do what Brandon and Dracotail does that.
Yeah, no. So that's something that I've been kind of contending with myself, as we talked about before this video started. It was, I think that branded has such a consistency issue when you run anything really kind of above 52 cards, that I kind of like what you did with this build, where you cut out the fat and you ended up running just the best cards in branded, but also running a pretty fruitful Dracotail engine in 3 Ketu Dracotail, 3 Rahu, and the Lucius, Urgula, Phimina, and Malulu, of course. And also, we'll get into the matchups at the end of the video, everybody. But so, what made you run the branded Dracotail variant? And it, like, to begin with, like you told me before, but you do like this version over the standard branded build. Like, you think it adds to it?
Yeah, basically, for me, the best thing that Dracotail offers is the way to break boards and bait Ash, of course. I've been baiting Ashes left and right with Kitu, with Rahu, and you can just resolve branded fusion freely, or you can just deal with problematic cards like back row that maybe sometimes branded has a problem with the Dracotails, and then you can just finish the game with the branded stuff.
Yeah, that's something that always really impressed me about the Dracotail engine, because the standard branded engine has no in-engine spell and trap card outs, and Urgula being one of the best in the current meta, being a non-targeting spell and trap card pop is, and also just like the Gulamel being able to also go on top of that is super nice, where you can just kind of go Ketu into Rahu. I'd bet, and you'll have to go over with the matchups and how much the Dracotail cards came up. But so we'll get into the card by card, though, because it's 45 cards here, of course, and you are running. So you're running the one Shrouded Dragon. What ended up making you want to run the one Shrouded Dragon over some recently? In the last year, I think a lot of people started running 3 Shrouded Dragon for consistency. Did you not really feel the need to run 2 more?
Well, I was testing in the 60 card version. I had the 3 Saronir and the 3 Albion. I have both at 3, but in the process of thinking, I was like, I do like this card. It's really good. It pairs well with, for example, with fusion duplication. It gives you a lot of ways to get to Branded fusion, but seeing it as a duplicate, it felt really bad. It was a really bad card if you see it paired with another copy. So on last minute, I decided, well, let's go back to basics. We started playing just one, so let's try just one, and it worked. It were fine. Maybe I could bump it to two, but I don't think, at least in a lower count, to play it like the third copy.
Yeah, I've noticed in some hands, especially with 60, I think there is hands where you would only draw Shrouded plus like your non-engine, and like Shrouded at the end of the day is an extender, not a starter, right? Unless you get lucky. But so running the one for the engine requirement is it's still a solid card, but yeah, it's like what I kind of mentioned before. I think you're doing here, just trimming the fat. So I do like that, just to get down to the 45 consistency. And were you seeing, like, were your hands just cracked, like, with the 45 cards? Like, were you able to see the hands you wanted, or did you brick at all?
most of the time I saw everything I needed. I saw a branded card and a Dracotail card plus some extender. It was, I think they will work great. I never bricked one. The only thing I can think I got a weird hand was against the Malice matchup, where he decided not to wash the Rahu, and that was my only play. I have a branded loss in Rahu, and when he decided not to wash the Rahu, he gave me everything. So that's the only weird hand I had in the whole tournament. After that, I had a lot of gas, a lot of plays with those hands. I got hands up like 300 in one and still was playing with both engines and felt great.
Yeah, okay, okay. So that yeah, no, that's why I like though about the engines. They can kind of help each other get there, right? Um so that's very cool. And that's why I've kind of noticed too sometimes like people will like really just like it's a 50-50 if they're going to like save their ash for your branded fusion or if they're going to use it on your Rahu. Like were people mostly like once they knew you were on branded Dracotail, would they just always save it for the branded fusion?
Well, it, it was weird because some of them they really waited for the adjust for the brand fusion, but others just used the first thing they saw because they were afraid of the Dracotail card as well because they're powerful too. So it was weird. It was both, but it helped a lot. Even if brand fusion resolved or not, it was a great combination.
Great. And then we'll just go card by card and then go into the 3 Aluber. Seems pretty standard, nothing to really discuss there. We have the 2 Cartesia, and then I guess we can also pair the 1 Quem there. How did you feel about your Cartesia and Quem ratios? Because you're also running 2 Albaz, so was this in an effort to maybe cut down on normal summons, or did you ever miss the 3rd Albaz or the 2nd Quem?
Well, that is one of the bigger problems in branded, having too many normals. I'm sure you experience that. It's awful when you see a lot of normal summons in your hand. So I was like, I need to cut something. And even if the 60 card version, I decided to just play one Quem because it's a great card, but if you have it paired with another normal summon, usually you don't want to see that. You just want to special it with Titan Class, for example. So yeah, I decided just to play one Quem, and I don't know. I don't like the second one. The third Albus is something I almost lose because of that. Because of the grind game, I went in the first game against Vanquish Soul K9. It was a 40 minute game one where I almost lost because I didn't have the third Albus.
Holy cow.
But yeah, overall, it was good. I'm not comfortable playing without the third Albus, but it worked.
So
And
that's
Cartesia,
insane.
mhm.
No, I was just saying that's insane. But what about Cartesia?
Yeah, Cartesia, I do like that card. It's really good. I almost played at three, but I decided, well, I already have the fusion deployment, so I don't really need the third one. But it's a really good card. I could play that three without a problem.
And then you were just happy with the 1 Quem that didn't really come up.
No, it didn't come up. I think I just opened it once where I didn't want to normal it, and then I just searched it if I need it or special summon it. It was good at one.
Okay, and then you're also running the 1 kit too to finish out, I guess, the branded engine plus having a which I really like that you're running the kit tragedy and Mercurier because you're also running Gold Sark and um Foolish Burial, which I've actually been leaning more towards running as well, because those cards are just fantastic 1 card starters. But yeah, were you happy with running the Foolish Gold Sark with 1 Mercurier Tragedy and kind of the kit in rotation?
Yes, it was just for consistency, like I said in the beginning. That was my plan. I never wanted to break with this deck, so I added all the pieces I knew. And Triad is such a great card. It helped me, for example, against Yumi. It helped me while I baited the Herald with Random Fusion, and then used the Dracotails to bait the other stuff. And literally, he wasted everything. My last play was foolish, sending Triad, using the second effect to set Random Fusion, and just win from there.
That's crazy, actually. I love that. It's like, yeah, no, it's a second retribution, right? Like that's how I see it. And
Yes, basically.
A lot of people end up have been cutting it. I think it's like a great card with Rahu Fusion or Ketu, right? Like and you run the Lucius too, which helps with the tragedy too. Because then you can just go normal Lucius, search Fimina, and then fuse off with the tragedy, but and like do your thing if you need to. But like so we'll get into the Dracotail engine. You chose to run the light Dracotail engine of Fimina, Lucius, Malulu, Urgula, and then the 3 Ketu, 3 Rahu, and then 1 Dracotail Flame. How did you feel about what made you run the light engine? Did you like this more than the heavier engine in testing, maybe? And were there any changes you'd make, or were you pretty happy with those ratios?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the radios. Maybe the only change I maybe would have is like playing the Lucias. Maybe, well, in Doom of Dimension, I will play for the light one for sure instead of the Lucias because I think it was just another normal summon that you really don't need.
Yeah.
But with the other names, the thing is, I did not want to see the individual names with other cards. I just wanted to see branded and maybe one Dracotail spell. That was my plan. I didn't want to see the other guys. I just want them to be sent with the fusion, with the Rahu, the Gitu. So that's why I maxed it out on the spells, but just have the minimal amount to play the Dracotail monsters.
Okay, and then did you ever like miss the pan or anything like that, or the second Dracotail trap?
I missed both, but the only thing is that they're both rigs. So maybe I can win easier with both in the deck, but I wanted consistency, so I had to make that sacrifice.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. So and did you ever, because I've been testing sometimes 1 Ketu, you were pretty happy with the 3 Ketu, you just felt like that maybe like helped since you were only running like 2 thrust, 1 talons, 3 super poly, which I guess that's still a lot of, pretty good non-engine, but like the Ketu plus Rahu are like extenders slash starters plus non-engine, so like did you they worked out pretty well for you?
Yeah, they both were great. I was, well, when I was going first, maybe cited out like one key to two, but I was really happy with those radios. And that's why I decided to play Lucius as Spears, just to, when I had just opened the key two, I have another way to play, but it was great.
So we'll go over the last couple monsters. Actually, there's just the Bestials, 1 Sarnier, 1 Lubellion. Did you not really miss the Magnum? Just more towards the philosophy of not wanting to brick. I'd presume not running more Bestials than that, since you're only running 1 Brandon in high spirits, especially.
Yeah, I was playing only the required stuff. I like Magnamut a lot, but I decided I really don't need that card. So it was good maybe going second, but there are not many decks right now that loses to Reseal, so that's why I just got it. And yes, I just did play one High Spirit. I don't know if you really want to talk about right now because usually most of the decks right now play like two or three High Spirits, but I'm not a fan of that card. But it was great. Every time I saw it, for example, playing around Fua or just on breaking some hands with the Dracotail engine, maybe I could bump the count of high spirits, but it worked great at just one. I was just wanted consistency, but it went great with just one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those things with Shrouded. Like, it's a great card, 100%. Like, sometimes just like a game-winning kind of effect, honestly, and used in the right like area, especially through Fua. And how many times did you see Fua at the tournament? Probably every single game.
No, surprisingly, I just saw it like twice, and every time they throw the Fua, I had like Nadir or High Spirits to play around that. And every time they Fua me, I do the idol lock back. So it was so funny, but it was great.
Yeah. So talk to me about the Ido. Why did you run it, and then, how many times did you resolve it, and what was it really there for?
Well, basically, it's to stop the grinding. I Brandon has a lot of problems in time. most of my games where I did not lock, I went almost into time. So idle helps a lot with that, makes games quicker. If you can outrun, for example, Vanquish Soul, you can use the idol to lock them and just win the game out of there. And all from the 7 rounds, I saw it. I just one match I didn't do it. The rest of the six I did it at least once. It was the best card in the deck for sure.
Yeah. And so did you idol lock under normal combo like if you could most of the time, or was this mainly like as a Fuwa lock kind of scenario, or did you do both?
Usually, I don't want to overcommit to doing the lock. So when they fool me, that was my priority 100% because when I resolve random diffusion, I go instantly in Sanctifier. But in the other games, it's just if they allow me to put in the position where I already have everything I need and I can protect the idol lock, I'm going to do it.
Okay. No, that I just feel like with how much I see Fua and things like that, it's just like such a free card in those games. And like you mentioned the grind game because um I'll always use this example just going against VSK9 players who can like if you don't have the lock there, they can grind you for like 30 minutes, right? So it's one of those things that especially when you're running two Albaz already, like you don't want to set yourself up for that kind of grind game, like because when you're running two Albaz, I think it's like it's actually really good because Albaz is one of your biggest bricks in like in any branded build that runs three Albaz, and like you'll just know from opening hand. So a lot of people have been like leaning towards running two, kind of like how Master Duel has been doing it, just because especially now with the Dracotail cards, you don't really with how much you can just lean on the Dracotail cards. Like they are literally there. A lot of the time, at least with me, I don't know about you, you'll have to tell me with these matchups, but like you'll just like go Dracotail cards first, going second, and then you already spent their whole board just like resolving your Dracotail cards, and then you can just like go normal like a Luber and then just do your thing. Um, so no, it's very solid for that respect. So, um, I definitely did have to ask that. So we'll get to the spells and traps, and I mean we kind of went over most of them, right? Like one branded fusion, one branded high spirits, one branded in red, one branded lost, three branded opening, and then one branded retribution. Did you ever like miss the branded in white or anything like that, or like branded banishment? Did you just feel like the branded in red was enough with the other cards in your deck?
Well, I was trying the Bradley and White because I was playing the 6 card version, but when I decided to put all the bricks, one of the cards that pay the consequences was the Branded White. It is a great card. It is better now with the Dracotail card, but it doesn't do enough. You need to be already playing to have the maximum value of the Bradley and White. I love that card. I try to play it every time I can, but in this lower count build, I did not could find the space to play it. And
Y-
with Banishment, I do like that card, but it's a trap. So traps just make it trickier. So I don't want to see more traps in my deck. So it's just fine.
Awesome. And then we had the three fusion deployment, and then we already talked about the one gold Sark and Foolish Burial for consistency. These are just pure one card starters. And then we'll just touch on, I guess, like the board breaker package here of three super poly plus the one talent and two thrust. How was super poly like for you in the tournament?
I usually just use it to overkill my opponent, and it did not do enough when I decided once when I needed to break a board, and it wasn't enough. And then it was good to finish out games. For example, I almost went into time. I had Mira Jade, Albion, and Aluber on board, and he had the Typhoon that he special summoned with the Lupis. So I just went into battle phase, fused with the Typhoon, and go for game exactly with 1 minute on the clock. So that was the only utility I do it. I did that twice because in the other match I didn't have game on board, but I fused my monsters into Mood Dragon to that exactly little.
Wow, that's very clean. That's very clean. And so, yeah, so okay, so overall, like, I guess we have Super Poly there. Would you ever change it out for another board breaker, or were you pretty set on that? Especially with like Doom of Dimension coming out in 2 weeks. Like, are you interested in that new Super Poly target? Like, would you run it with that uses like it's basically one extra deck monster plus a psychic monster to be made.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know if I would run it just because of the extra space. It's pretty tight. I didn't even play Garura, but I don't know. Maybe there's another board breaker right now, but Droplet is not great, and I needed a third board breaker, not just the Evenly and the Dark Rulers. So I decided the one that gave me utility going first and going second was the Super Bully. So that's why I decided to play that one in the main deck.
That's totally fair. So you didn't. Okay, yeah. Would you, I guess, ever side the Garura, or were you pretty set with Mud Dragon?
Yeah, I was thinking siding the Garura, but I was thinking in the game that I did not break the board with Dragon. The Garura would not have worked either, so maybe just cut Super Bully to have more flex spot in the extra deck. But that is the only thing I'm not completely sure about my deck. So maybe you can cut Super Bully, but right now I don't see the space to be more targets.
Yeah, and we talked about this before, but you don't really want to run like a Dark Ruler in its spot. You don't want a card that you can't really use going first, game one.
Yeah, usually I play the droplet, but like I mentioned, in this format is not that great in the droplet, so
Yeah.
that's why I decided to play Super Bowl. But yeah, I don't like to have dead cards going first.
Okay, and then now we'll get into the extra deck, and there's actually some interesting choices in here. You are playing the Mysterion, the Dragon Crown. How did this work out for you? This is like more of a pure Draco, like other Dracotail variants love making this card. For I've heard, Yummy and other decks. How was this card for you? What did it pay off running this card in your extra deck?
Yeah, so basically, the theory behind this card is that I needed something that I could make with the Dracotail cards that gave me utility. So I was planning to play maybe the second Art Lion or something like that, but I decided I needed something to fuse with a dragon, a spellcaster, and I could use it with Super Poly as well. So my two options when I narrowed down was Mysterion and Secretarian, and I do not own the Secretarian, so that's why I had to play the Mysterion in that place. The floodgate effect of Secretarian, it wouldn't come up with my against the matchup I had, and Mystery didn't come either. So it just the materials that I needed was the relevant part. So basically, I needed something to fuse with a dragon and spellcaster. That's the only reason why he's there.
So that's interesting though, because it has me thinking sometimes when I'm because I know that angle, it does come up playing this build, so I understand running it, even if it didn't come up in this tournament. It's like something, I think you're right, where you just have to run a fusion monster that can be made with one spellcaster and dragon monster with like Femina, so you can actually play the game when you're on your Dracotail board. But sometimes when I'm like that, the, the Secretarion feels much better going first in the branded deck or as a way to continue your grind game. I think it's only really good in really the obviously Blue Eyes, but mostly the more relevant one is Dracotail, and I don't think it's actually in my opinion, Secretarion's a pretty decent like board breaker into Dracotail, but it is, you have me thinking with Mysterion because sometimes I just want a card that does something, so maybe that's worth testing too, more. So that is interesting that you have that there.
Yeah, that's basically it. The thing I needed was something to fuse with the board that I had, and the only one that did something with the materials I specifically needed was Dustguard. So that's basically the decision behind it.
Okay, and then we'll go over the branded fusion monsters. We have two Albion, one Sanctifier, and then one Lubellion, one Mirror Jade. and one Titaniclad. Did you miss the second Mirror Jade at all?
The only thing I maybe missed was the second Mirror Jade just once, but usually you with Quem and returning it with Rebellion is not that necessary. Maybe if I didn't play the Garura, I could play the second Mirror Jade, but I didn't miss it that much.
I'm just gonna change that quickly because I did your deck list wrong in that case. I should have just asked you for a deck list, YDK, but it's okay. The one Grand Guignol, that's kind of interesting since you are main decking the Ido lock. Did the second not really come up for you, or were you just kind of playing around the fact you had one in your extra deck?
Well, I tested the second one with the 60 card build, and it didn't come up. So I started playing just one, and what I realized was playing the second one helps you making some lines more comfortable, but you need the utility in the extra deck to get more monsters. So with Super Poly and everything. So I wouldn't play with this specific build. I wouldn't play the second one. It is a good option, but it feels like something to make you more comfortable, but you don't exactly need it.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. And then you're also running the one Arthalion, Dracotail, and then Dracotail Gulamel. Did you ever miss the second Arthalion, or did you feel like Gulamel also came up enough to run it?
Gulamel came up enough in the second Art Lion. I didn't miss it because sometimes I ran out of Dracotail names and I could not recycle them with Flame, for example. That's something I used a lot to recycle the Art Lion with the Flame. But I don't know, I don't have the extra deck space, maybe with more than 50 cards in the extra deck. But no, I decided to play the Mysterion in that spot.
That's totally fair. And then you also ran a Guardian Chimera. So, what made you run Guardian Chimera? Did it come up for you? Was it worth it?
Yeah, Guardian Chimera and Star Source both came in clutch. Those were great, having back row removal, non target removal with Chimera. The best part in my extra deck, I think. I wouldn't cut them. I was thinking on cutting the Chimera, but the plays within red are so good that you don't really need to play it.
That's totally fair. Would you ever play like a Borreload Furious Dragon, or were you ever like playing anything else in that place, or like Ophilia Regis, or were you pretty happy with this lineup?
I was pretty happy with this lineup. Maybe if I played more Albions and Saroniter in main, I could play the Borrelord, but right now with my Dragon count, I don't think it's justified to play that card.
And then you also ran the Quertus. Was that pretty good for you?
Well, Cortis is a weird card for me because I love that card. I always feel it necessary to run, and with Super Poly, like for example, when you normal Luger, you can Super Poly with something that the opponent has on board. But in this tournament, it was the worst card in my extra deck.
So we'll go over the side deck now, and you have the 3 artifact Lancia plus the Droll and Lockbird. Did this come up? Were you playing was this just like for Malice and Crystron, and then also the Droll, like were these pretty good for you?
It was really bad. I played against Mitsugiri, and that's the only loss I have in the whole tournament against that deck. I did not see the draw, and it's the only time I sided in. And then the Lancia, I drew it as a 6 card against Mali, so awful decisions.
That's really unfortunate. What can you do when you're running 45 too? Like the chances, like you're they're pretty decent to open it, honestly. But did you? So you aren't running the Mulcharmies. Is there was what was the theory with not running Mulcharmies or anything between the main or side deck?
Well, I do not own the Murchons, so that's the first decision. And the second one is because I think I had everything generic covered with the board breakers. I just needed something specific for the problematic matchups like Malice and Mitsugiri Rifle. So that's why I decided to play those two options just to have something more specific. Because against the other decks, I would just side in the Dark Rulers and the Evenly and just call it a day.
So how were the Dark Rulers and Evenlies for you?
Well, Evenly, I just used it once and it did not resolve, so it wasn't great. So yeah, that's the only time I saw it. And Dark Ruler, I just used it once, I think, but it helped me a lot because it was against K9 Christian. He did the full board, and I just go like Dark Ruler, Dracotail stuff, break everything, branded fusion, finish the game. So that's the only time I used the Dark Ruler. I maybe could have used it before that game against the K9 Vanquish, but I was going into time, so I made the decision I need to kill him right now. I'm not going to use the Dark Ruler.
Awesome. And then for some going first sides, you also had Nadir Servant plus Fusion Duplication. How were these for you? Were these kind of just always sided out for like super poly going first, or did you have other side patterns?
Usually, yes, that's the case. It depends on the matchup. But yeah, I usually just side those three with the super police and get something more consistent. Originally, I was playing the two duplications and one horn in my side deck, but I was came to the conclusion I did not want to see those purple cards anymore, so that's why I used the Nadirs instead.
Fair enough. Spell cards are pretty good. So the Nadirs were pretty good though.
Well, it came just once when I got Uwa and it worked great, so I usually do not play this card without Maximo, so it was a little bit weird, but I did not have Garura either, so it was weird, but it worked great. Give me more consistency, so that's basically what I want with this deck list.
Yeah, no, I love how you took that theory. Like it ran with it. Honestly, that's very cool, and it kind of shows you can run the Deer Servant, and you don't necessarily need the Garura. And even with that, I mean, you felt like the Mud Dragon was just what you wanted. So yeah, no, that's a great, fantastic list, and I'm gonna start testing this myself. So it's a great alternative to running like the 60 card pile. Once again, thank you very much, and congratulations on your big win here with branded Dracotail. So
Thank
with
you,
that
and
being,
thank you for having me on the challenge.
of course, anytime. So we'll be looking forward to what you do the rest of this season and year. And with that being said, guys, please leave any questions that you guys have on the list or our discussion down below, and leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. We will be seeing you guys later. Have a great day. Bye now.